Welcome to this YouTube exclusive of the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm Anthony Canton III. That's Jake Christie. And we have a trailer to discuss as we saw the first trailer for Agatha All Along premiering September 18th, a 2-episode premiere. My goodness, Jake, I gotta say, the vibes are very spooky, and I really like the vibes. What do you think?
Well, first off, I want to say I really enjoyed the trailer, but I want to head something off. We are not calling September 18th Halloween season. I think that this is I'm not someone who tries to yuck people's yums. I'm fine with people being really into a holiday or whatever. But if the calendar doesn't say October, I don't want to hear the word Halloween. But other than that, I was very excited by this trailer.
This, I will be on your side on this and say that, listen, they're stretching it, and then there's what they're doing here. That's a lot.
Once again, like if they want, honestly, if they said like this spooky season, but it's like September 18th, like. I'm still thinking about Labor Day. Sorry.
Well, spooky in the sense is that I think the imagery,
Yes.
a lot of the stuff that we saw with Agatha, clearly at this point coming out of the spell that left for her, now that Wanda is dead, and all of those things. So I first start off, like, what was your general vibe of what you saw, how you felt about watching this TV?
I mean, I was really excited to see the rest of the cast, just because, like, for one, like, I'm not really being a big Broadway person at all, but just, like, the idea of Patti LuPone is in a Marvel project is fucking insane, and just to, like, to actually see that is nuts. Obviously, Aubrey Plaza, who's having a moment, is in it.
Aubrey Plaza.
But just, like, I think that
yeah,
for the longest time, like, the show is so hypothetical, and this is clearly, like, the number one show that was. It's not the first spin-off that's come out, because obviously Echo came out first. But in terms of, like, timeline of when it was announced, like, this was the first show that felt like it exists organically, because people wanted it. And so it was hard for me to imagine what it would be like. And I still obviously don't know, like, what the plot of it's going to be, which is fine. But I think that it's a good tone setting. And, like, I understand now the milieu they're playing in, which is exciting, because I think that, like I said, for the longest time, it was just, like, different titles and cast announcements. We really didn't know what we were going to be getting, and so seeing a real thing is cool.
Yeah, I think when you have so many charismatic folks in this, as we do, Aubrey Plaza, especially, I see her with the cop garb on. I say, girl, you could arrest me anytime. Let me tell you. Listen, yeah,
He's having a moment.
She is having more than a moment. Let me tell you. But yes, what I'm interested to see more than anything else is the road to Agatha getting her powers back, and then also from a character perspective, what does that mean to her in particular, in a way that will interest us, interest us as the viewer. Whether there's going to be like an emotional connection between her and the people that she tries to assemble. The young man, I can't remember his name. What's it? Is Joe Locke or something? I believe I'm not mistaken. So apparently he's supposed to be in the spirit. His body gets taken over by the spirit of Wanda's son Billy. So this is the one with kind of the psychic powers.
Yeah, Wiccan, I believe, is the character name.
Yes. So if that's the case, so we already have a connection to Wanda there. So that will play out in whatever way it's meant to play out overall. But I think you mentioned Patti LuPone, and it's been funny over the past year seeing her do some media and just feel free and just talking and says, I don't care, I'll say whatever. It's no big deal. So yeah. I'm excited to see her vibe, because she says that she had such a fun time shooting this. So I think this is kind of the sandbox where, in terms of what WandaVision was and how new it felt, how the type of ingenuity that was used with that show, it feels like this has the same vibe, and not surprising that Jack Schaffer is helming this show as well. So continuing that vibe, like that, just overall, I love not only the spooky vibe, the horror-ish vibe, but also I think we're gonna get some really fun stuff between the ladies.
Yeah, I think that, because the thing about Patti LuPone, which I'm glad that she's in this project and has been talking about, is because, like, she does not give one, like, she's not gonna bullshit you about whether or not she thinks it was good. Like, she's just not, like, she doesn't care. And so, like, I don't know if the show was good, but I believe her when she said it was just fun time to make. And the thing is, there were sometimes, like, a thing being fun to make does not always translate into being good. But in certain tones, like I feel like with the tone of what they're going for, you can imagine it translating well. And so it feels like it's going to be very ensemble, even though the show is named after Agatha.
Yes.
I don't think it's an accident that so many of these shots we see are she's with one of the other main characters, and so I think that the fact that the vibes seem good around it is exciting because I think like a thing that we get hung up on, a lot. We get hung up on plot and what's happening in the grand scheme of things. But this show is really unnecessary, and I don't mean that in a bad way because
Yeah.
all art is unnecessary in a way. And so the vibes, I think, are the thing that I'm most excited about because ultimately, like Agatha was a fun character. I don't give a shit in the grand scheme of things about like how she fits into this, that, or the other. So I'm only watching it because I want to spend time with her and the other characters. And so it feels like they prioritize that. So therefore, I can expect it excites me that they know that they're selling more of a vibe than they are the next installment in this saga.
Yeah, Catherine Hahn is great, and I like seeing great people in great things. So if this ends up being that, that's great too. But also, I gotta admit personally, just from a fun standpoint, I think I really do fall in line with what you just said. I think there's just a level of okay, if they hint and do some stuff towards Wanda, then okay, I could vibe with that. I feel good about that. But at the same time, hey man, just have some fun. Give us some good times. Give us some moments like we got in WandaVision. A lot of the crew from WandaVision previous cast are in it, and it makes sense because she was still stuck in that town. So bringing that back is a wonderful thing. I will say, like, just the Wanda connection generally, just for you MCU Easter egg heads looking for me to give y'all something, a little nugget on that. But so the Witch's Road is mentioned. So this is supposed to be the thing that gives Agatha back her powers, and obviously she has to assemble a coven, as is said in the teaser or whatever. The interesting thing is how they resurrect Wanda, which I feel like is a story that's going to be laid out over multiple projects, not just this one. They'll start it here, and I'm assuming now that we get the spirit of Billy here, then that'll go to whenever they decide to do Young Avengers. Remember, we got a Vision series coming up. There's got to be some type of connection to Wanda there, as it's going to be the regular Vision trying to find his way back and all of these things. So there is a streamline that you can see going forward. And so this is 8 episodes. There has always been a rumor since this show was shot that there is a surprise ninth episode that is a special specifically on the Witch's Road. So if that happens, if they do that, then that might be something that focuses specifically on Wanda's comeback. Now, granted, this rumor was a couple years ago, right before this show started shooting. And it's funny that this show has kind of it's been like 2 years since initial
Yeah,
photography was done and all that stuff. So I mean, we're going back as far as the Sacha Baron Cohen as
yeah.
Mephisto, what is in this show type of stuff. I don't know if anything has changed from that in the past 2 years, and it's possible that it has. And they might have decided to just kind of pare it down and make it kind of just a more lined in story where it's
Mhm.
just specifically Agatha and the Coven, but those nuggets are hanging out there, and those at least should be mentioned.
Yeah, I think that like I think your words of caution I think are fair of like we really don't know what's been going on in like these 2 years. I mean, I think I said before that like I'm excited for the show, but I think that it should have come out a year and a half ago just because like the momentum from WandaVision is kind of gone.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Because like
Yeah.
I saw people being like, "Who asked for the show?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. People did ask for the show. It's just
Mm-hmm.
they asked for it 3.5 years ago. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously it takes a long time to get these things up off the ground. But like in television, it actually doesn't. Like, there's another instance of Marvel not being good at making television. Like, yes, with movies, 3.5 years is fine to make like a spin-off sequel. But in television, you probably should have it by the next season.
Ironheart, another example of
Yeah.
this.
And so like I'm excited to see it. It's not gonna affect whether or not I watch it, how much I enjoy it. But I
Yeah,
did, like I said, I saw a lot of people being like, "Who asked for this?" I'm like, "No, you're forgetting. Like, people definitely did ask for this.
and
It
that's the
just
problem.
it people asked for it, and like, but they delayed it, et cetera, to the point where people forgot that people asked for it. And like, I hope it does well, but if it doesn't do well, there's gonna be a lot of like hand wringing about like, is it this, that, and the other? It's like the answer is gonna be because they waited too long. Like, if it doesn't do well, that's gonna be the reason why.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the MCU. I mean, I mentioned Ironheart. That's another thing that just
Yeah,
bugs me. It's like this thing was done. This thing
yeah,
was shot and canned and all that stuff, and we got to wait another year for it.
hmm
And we're gonna be in the same position with something like Wonder Man too.
yeah,
So I think just from a creative standpoint, the MCU for us at this point,
hmm
regardless of what happens
yeah,
with Deadpool and Wolverine, it's still in on the TV side. It's
yeah,
still a wait and see approach for us to see
hmm
if they get to the point where they can figure things out.
yeah,
But nonetheless, I really like the vibes of this trailer. I'm very excited to see these new characters and see what situations that they're
hmm
put in and what kind of hijinks or just general spooky or in some
hmm
cases horror as some of the monsters that we saw in
hmm
the trailer or whatnot. How all of that translates and to be quite honest, it's nice to know that there's another MCU thing not too
hmm
far away
yeah.
beyond Deadpool and Wolverine.
And I do just want to shout out the Mayor of Easttown opening, where she's a a police officer detective
Yes.
in what's clearly supposed to be Pennsylvania. A friend of the show, Leo Marilla Thomas, pointed out that there's a chance that if Evan Peters shows up as Ralph Boner, then it's gonna be the
Oh
best.
yes,
Because I mean, he's in Westview too,
that's
so
right. He never left.
yeah.
Yeah, he
But yeah,
never left.
that was very fun to see because obviously I don't want the whole thing to be TV parodies again because that's what we already did. But I like it as an intro. It's a fun idea, especially the idea that like it's like Wanda watch new TV. That like this is a new show beyond what she watched as a kid.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and another thing I'll say, I think just the genre of the witch vibes, the
Mhm.
supernatural vibes when we saw Werewolf by Night, there was just something really fresh about it, really
Yeah.
new and fun. I hope that this continues that vibes, and of course, it's like it's the same people doing WandaVision, so to a
hmm
degree, you kind of have some expectation that they
hmm
will deliver on that
Yeah.
aspect of things. So, you hope to see. You always want to see creativity in these things, as they continue to evolve from a TV standpoint, and hopefully get better at
Yeah.
doing the TV thing. So that's really the bottom line there. And Jake, if you have no further thoughts,
Nope.
well, we'll say this: if you're watching this video right now, like, subscribe, comment, do all of those things, and of course follow the MC University Patreon, patreon.com/MC University Pop, where we have bonus content. Where we're about to do Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. That should be a lot of fun. Subscriber mailback, amongst a lot of things. Appreciate everybody for supporting us there and support us here and appreciate all of you. Agatha all along, coming September 18th. For Jake, I am AC. We'll talk to you later.